help communities to deal with COVID-19. And there was a big rush to get grant applications in so we could meet the immediate need. Rotary Foundation gave us a special, gave a Rotary District a special circumstance this year. Normally, the grants, you can't start your grant and spend money until the block grant is approved by the Rotary Foundation. This year they said, if you have a COVID-19 grant, you can spend the money right away because the need is immediate. So that's what's happening largely this year, and I'm really proud of our district. Thank you. I know you have Cape Charles and Onancock and Exmoor work together each year to put a project together for the Eastern Shore. And I can't remember exactly what you're doing right now because I haven't read all the grants, but thank you for what you do for your community.
Well, Stephen, thank you. It's actually, we are helping the Randy Custis athletic field do some capital improvements. Gives us the opportunity to spend some money and to have some sweat equity. And I want to thank Bill Murphy for driving that again. It wouldn't happen unless we had Bill behind us. And Bill, once again, thank you. And Stephen, we're going to be an E-Ray club again. You know, Bill Strand brought me into Rotary. The first acronym I learned was E-Ray. And we've been a E-Ray club for all the years I've been a member, and we will continue that tradition. So thanks again.
Sir.
All right. I'll just tell you now that the Short Pump Club is going to join us in about 10-15 minutes. They have some business to take care of, but they're going to share Dr. Berge's presentation with us, and we're delighted about that. And as they come on board, we'll interrupt and welcome them. I've got a few announcements. I think the most important one is Randy is back. Randy, tell us how you're doing.
I'm doing well. First of all, I want to thank everybody for kind thoughts and prayers. It seems to have worked. Still waiting for my kidneys to get back to 100%, which is really the only issue other than just physically getting stronger. But all is going well. And I especially want to thank Paul and Chuck for covering the secretarial duties in my absence. It's nice to have somebody else send the bills out and not make me feel so bad. So, but it's good to be back. It's good to see everyone.
Well, Randy, we're delighted to have you back and stay on the get well trail. And I'm sure Chuck and Paul will be delighted when you come up to full speed. But I'll tell you for them, they're not in a hurry about that. You just get well first and let us know if we can do anything for you.
Okay.
Your board met last week and took a look at our contribution fund. We had approximately $6,000 that had not been designated for any of our programs. So we decided we would focus on the Eastern Shore food programs, and that came down to contributing $3,000 to the Food Bank of the Eastern Shore, $2,000 to First Baptist Church of Capeville, which has a very aggressive food program supported by Kelvin Jones and our own sheriff, David Dowdy, down there in the corner. In fact, I delivered the $2,000 check to the church team yesterday, and that's going very well. And we contributed $1,000 to the local Boys and Girls Club's emergency food project. And by the way, that project is taking off like wildfire. Kathy Custis, the executive director, many of you know her. She was on Wavy TV yesterday on the 5 o'clock news. And I was sent a URL for that news piece, and I'll send it to the membership. That's Tom Godwin calling me. Should I answer the phone? Hey, Tom. Are you joining our meeting? You can, call in.
What I'm trying to do is not taking my ID, right?
Oh, I bet you have the wrong password. It's today's date, 051920. Tom, we're in the middle of the meeting.
I got you.
Okay, bye. We are a loose and ever ready group, Mary.
Bill, don't forget that we also sent $1,000 to Feed the Children International Fund because we found $1,000 that we could still use for international causes.
Right. Thank you, Paul. Paul is essentially, Paul is the treasurer of our club, but he's also our inspector general. He keeps me honest. So thank you again, Paul. And we're also,
Bill will get tired of me and fire me probably. But.
No, I'll never fire you, Paul. Stephen, you got something to say?
I had a question. Paul said there's $1,000 available for international causes.
Well, we had that available, and we thought the best way to spend it. We decided the best way to spend it last week was through Feed the Children.
Okay.
Steve, we like to maintain an international presence. We one of the projects we thought we'd be involved in this year cratered, so we diverted some money. Okay, so oh, by the way, in addition to the money we contributed to the Boys and Girls Club, another $1,800 has been raised to support that program. So that's tremendous news. Couple of things that you don't want to hear, but you're going to have to work with me on. And I am going to wear you out on this one. We're still looking for a president nominee. Now, the nice thing about the president nominee is that's over a year away. You'll have to put up with me as president for another year. You'll be so tired of me after another year. I think we'll have competition for the next president. So keep in mind, and you're going to get personal phone calls from me, and I'll be taking you out for drinks and all of that until we have a nominee identified. We're also looking for a highway cleanup czar. Now that's an easy one. If Paul could do it, anybody can do it. And we'll help you. But we do need somebody to keep us organized on the Route 184 cleanup. So keep that in mind. Once again, the Shore Delivery Corps is very active. They're giving away toilet paper now. They will deliver toilet paper to those who can't get out or shouldn't get out to buy it. That number, once again, and it's in our newsletter, thank you, Chuck, is 757-801-9950. And the next reminder is what? Ralph, what would the next reminder be?
Reminder in reference to what?
What would it be? What do we say always? Call your buddy.
Oh,
We're-
My buddy didn't even know I was a member.
She knows now, and you should call her. And I'm surprised that Regina isn't on, but give her a call. And in fact, I've been trying to call her for last few days and haven't heard from her.
Uh-oh.
But only half of us are on this call, so call your buddy and see how they're doing, and remind them that the Cape Charles Rotary Club is still alive. And then finally, Mike, what should you be doing?
That's a good question.
You should be inviting your friends and neighbors.
Well, Alan's my neighbor, and he's a friend. He's on.
I'm not concerned that they don't show up, but at least we should be inviting them because we want, they might be worried about us. And once they join one of our e-meetings, they'll want to be a Rotarian. So keep that in mind. So Diane, what are we doing about right now?
Happy dollars.
Happy dollars. And if you're not happy today, you'll never be happy. So who's going to kick off a happy dollar?
I'll kick off. $5. Today is my daughter's 49th birthday, and I'm happy she's not on this call to hear me give her age away. But I will be talking with her a little bit later after she's finished work.
And Chuck, you just gave your age away, more or less.
Yeah, I was a young father. I was 4 years old when
Okay. Ralph, have you given a happy dollar lately?
Oh,
Pressure, baby, pressure.
I'm so happy to see you.
I'll match Chuck's 5. We finished planting corn last week, and we had a tremendous success getting soybeans in before the rain. So I'm, as far as we were behind, we're playing catch up quickly. So
Thank you, Ralph. Bill Stram, I think you have a happy dollar.
I do have 5 happy dollars.
Wow.
For tomorrow is my youngest grandson's 6th birthday.
Oh, nice.
And I'll get to see him Friday because they're coming down here for Memorial Day. So
he's
$5.
about due for an ATV from Grandpa.
He's going to Germany for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Stanley, were you making a exaggerated motion there, or are you doing a happy dollar?
I have a happy dollar.
Okay, Mehdi, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll have 5 happy dollars. I'm celebrating a trifecta on May 23rd. It's my daughter's birthday and my father's birthday. And May 23 is the date that I met my husband. That's why I remember exactly the date.
Very nice.
So I'm offering $5 for all 3 celebrations on Friday.
Thank you. So Paul, I'm not Paul, Stanley, are you?
Oh, yes. Like I was saying, a little of both. I'm happy that, I'm happy that we sold out in the MTC. All my honey's gone and at the MTC.
How many
happy are you, Stan?
are you?
How's that?
I said, how happy are you?
Yeah, how many dollars?
You need that too? Yeah, all right. I'm $5 happy.
Stanley, you have to be the tightest guy around. You
I
made all
sweet.
that money. Made all that money on those bees, and
It's expensive to be happy.
Yes. I'm going to be out spending honey this afternoon as soon as I get off air.
There you go. I've got some happy dollars. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I've got 5 happy dollars. Just happy to be here, but I've had a lot of time on my hands. Netflix and I have gotten really close. Anyone who hasn't watched Inside the Brain of Bill Gates, if you have Netflix, take a look at it. It's interesting story about him, but it gives you some real insight in some of the areas of the world that really need a lot of attention, the kind of things that, you know, that we look at. It's worth a good look see. It's very interesting.
Okay, I'm happy, but I'm kind of unhappy. I'm happy because we're having a joint meeting to the tune of $5. Now, I'm unhappy because Mickey Ogburn and her team, the Short Pump Club, aren't here yet. And I don't want to start without them. Would you all just talk amongst yourselves while I give her a call? Oh,
Hey, Bill.
yeah, Bill.
More happy dollars here.
Yeah, I've got one more thing, Bill. It was going to make this a happy $2, but I don't want to be the cheapskate, so I'll make it a happy $5. I'm happy because yesterday Charter Cable finally came out and finished installing the new coax from my house to the drop on the street. And I'm even more happy that I don't have to be reminded by a certain person every day, when am I going to call them and get that cable fixed? So I'm very happy that's done.
Yeah, I had a scary moment, Bill. Charter dropped internet on my system about a half hour before our meeting. Which
Okay, hey Bill.
Yeah.
Before we get off here, I've got a lot to cover, so I'm going to say it's $20 before I start.
You show
I
off.
get a lot of grief. Like Chuck, I got married very young. I have 4 children and 12 grandchildren. My youngest daughter turned 40 on Sunday. I have a son-in-law who will be 40 this coming week. I have a granddaughter who will be 12 this coming week, and my oldest granddaughter will be 21, which is kind of hard to believe. And then the last but not least reason I'm putting in $20 is I got my first haircut since January. So I had begun to look like a really demented Albert Einstein. Unfortunately, I don't think like Einstein. So I'm back to something a little more acceptable. So that's $20.
Thank you, John.
Hey, Bill,
Hey, Bill.
Bill Murphy, you need some more training on selective hearing.
Yeah, I do. Well, I didn't put my hearing aids in until this morning for the first time in about a week, but things you can't avoid.
Okay, you guys.
Hey, Bill, can you hear me? I got 5 happy dollars too.
Okay, Sheriff.
I am happy because we were able to help First Baptist Church yesterday distribute, despite the weather, 275 meals to the kids. And
Wow.
I'm certainly happy of the contribution that Rotary has, Cape Charles Rotary has done for the First Baptist Church, Capeville. And I did also get a haircut over the weekend too, John. And it took 3 hours though.
So David, how are you on getting Kelvin on board?
I'm working on him, Bill. I think we're going to get him.
Last week it was the stick. I think you ought to consider it the gun.
Handcuffs, maybe.
Handcuffs. Okay, now you guys, are we through with happy dollars? Because I'm going to call Short Pump and see what's going on here. So keep talking.
Go on mute, Bill. Sheriff Dave, Chuck here. Just wanted to let you know the little matter that we talked about, everything seems fine now. And thank you very much.
He's probably on mute.
Yeah.
Hey, Ralph, I've been meaning to ask you, the farming sounds like it's in good shape. How's the real estate?
It's pretty slow. I mean, we're doing a few things, but people obviously aren't coming, to look like they were. Some people are afraid, where would they stay, from out of town. I'm working on a few things with local people, but the out of towners are for most part, staying away.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice to have the farm during all this separation because, boy, I've got plenty of places I can go and hide. So I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Okay, we weren't able to reach the short pump people. I don't know what happened. I heard from Mickey. Mickey said she'd be joining, and something must have come up. So when I heard about 3 weeks ago that Dr. Mary Berge was doing Zoom meetings for the Rotary, I jumped right on it and contacted Mary, and Mary got back to me, I think, in 5 nanoseconds. She's an amazing person. She's a member of the Johnstown, Pennsylvania Rotary Club. She's a licensed clinical psychologist and she was a group study exchange student like our own district governor back in 2002 and has been with Rotary ever since. She was a district governor back in the 2008, 2009 time frame. She's spoken at the Rotary International Convention. In fact, she spoke in 2013 in Portugal. And I can go on, but Mary, why don't you just add to this? You can see we're an informal group. We welcome you, and tell us a little bit about yourself before you give us a lesson in what we should be doing through these tough times.
Sure, thanks, Bill. And if I could ask everyone to either mute yourselves, or Bill, if you can mute everyone as the host, that'll be great. We won't get any feedback that way. My computer picks it up really somehow easily. So yeah, I joined in 2002 as a group study exchange team member and just got hooked into Rotary right away, of course, and started climbing the Rotary ladder really fast. I just loved leadership positions, and I love training the most. I think that's probably my favorite thing to do in Rotary at this point. So I've been having a lot of fun doing conferences and speaking at PETS, district conferences, International Assembly. I've been a trainer twice now, been a president's rep 3 or 4 times. So I just love leaving my district. The more often I can leave my district, the happier I am. I love my district, but I love meeting Rotarians from around the world. So that's sort of my niche in Rotary at this point. So this, just fits that perfectly. I love vocational service, and in my field, I don't get to do a whole lot of that. So this has really afforded me the opportunity to be able to give back to Rotary in a manner that's so easy for me to travel. This is my 69th meeting in the last 3 weeks and maybe 4 weeks. 69th meeting, and I have, I think, 73 scheduled so far. And I've spoken to mostly Rotary clubs, but also done some work groups. And, based on someone who saw me speak, they said, would you, talk to my work group? And I've been as far as Kenya. So also did a lot up in Canada, and I've been to Hawaii twice in the last couple days. So having just so much fun doing this and meeting such wonderful people. So thank you for having me. I'm going to jump right in, and maybe the Pump Club will join in, and if not, I'll try to get them another time. But so thanks for having me again.
Mary, if you don't mind if I jump in, the Short Pump Club has joined you, and you'll see Jane and Paige and Madeline and Rick and Eric, and we all just joined in.
Yay, it worked. Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. This is my 3rd joint meeting that we coordinated, because again, sometimes it's just so hard to get, everybody wants the same date and time, and it's
Right.
a relevant topic. It doesn't really stretch out much past, mid-June probably. So, however,
we
I
thank
think
you
that
all for letting us join you. So Well, I'm going to mute, but thank you, Bill, for starting this up, but thank you for letting us join in.
Welcome, Short Pump.
Well, and I have made some adjustments to this talk because I do want everything you hear today to be really relevant to not only pandemic and COVID-19, but I want these tips to transform into your life in general. These are all things that you can do day to day, whether we're in a shelter in place or, well, you guys are getting haircuts, I hear. Wow, you're way ahead of the curve. So, but everything I talk about today is very relative to life in general. So, but if you're like everyone else, you've probably had moments during this time, this really strange COVID-19 time, where you've maybe felt mentally, emotionally, and physically fatigued by the whole ordeal, maybe even anxious or irritable. So I hope today I can create some balance in that, and also, like I said, moving forward into life. So let's talk a little bit about information. So typically when a patient first comes to me and they tell me about why they're in my office, I ask them about how much information do they really have? Because typically information is power. But in this case, in COVID-19, information has actually become a source of stress and anxiety. So it is a detriment at this point. So I have a 2-limit rule now, where I only allow COVID-19 news or information into my life daily, 2 times per day. So I usually start my day with something very local, county or statewide information. That way I stay safe, I can keep my patients safe, I can figure out what rules have changed for the day because they are, seem to be constantly in flux. But then throughout the rest of my day, there's no real need for me to be checking COVID-19 information, because it all just becomes kind of background noise, especially the sensationalized media and social media. So I just go on with my day because life has not stopped. Life is not just COVID-19. And that's what I talk when I say I want to help create balance. I want you to start thinking about balancing your life. Now, I also have a golden rule in my life in general, and that is that I take in no negative news media past 7 p.m. because your mind and your psyche really do need time to decompress and recover from the day and from the stresses that you've taken in throughout the day before you go to rest, before you go to sleep. And that's about a 2 to 3 hour time period that your brain does actually need to recover in order for you to get a healthy and restful sleep. So nothing for me past 7 p.m. that's news related. All right, so let's talk a little bit about routine as well. So by now you've probably figured out that it's not a good idea, although I heard some good Netflix things, but it's not a good idea to just be binging Netflix and binging popcorn and junk food all day long and sitting on the couch. We have to go on. We have to say that this might be a new type of normal on and off for a foreseeable future, whatever it is. So having a routine is really important, especially if you're forced to work from home. So still sticking to a 6 to 8 hour work schedule, super healthy. Now, routine is also a predictor of well-being. And just like children, adults actually do better when they know what is expected of them. And that's especially true when you're under stress. And in fact, the lack of a routine can actually make you feel more lethargic and doubtful at the end of your day. So knowing what you're going to be doing, especially if it's written down, is very useful to leading you to feel more productive and successful at the end of your day. And that is even more true if you chunk your day into 2 hour increments and you take 10-minute breaks. And this has actually been proven in science, and especially if you're staring at a computer. First and foremost, the 10-minute break in your workday does make you feel more successful at the end of the day, and it actually improves productivity. But getting away from the computer, if you're working from a computer all day long, is important that you engage a different part of your brain to let your brain rest from staring at the blue screen. So going into another room and perhaps reading from a novel or listening to some music or meditating or getting outside and doing a short 5-minute burst of exercise, even just walking around your house or your block once. So important. And routine also means taking care of yourself physically with regard to nutrition and also regard to hydration. Again, the stay-at-home order certainly isn't an excuse just to sit around binge eating. And in fact, nutrition and hydration and fitness are really important things to consider when you're under stress. And I mention hydration because stressful times and anxious times can actually make you dehydrate faster. So my golden rule is 60 to 80 ounces of water per day. Now, it's also great if you write down on a little cue card and pin it to your computer what your goals for the day are. Now, these can be just personal, like nutrition goals, or they can be like work goals. Because actually, a written goal that's visual will increase your personal accountability to the goal and increase probability that you'll either attain it or surpass it. So writing that down, putting a little Post-it note right there where you can see it should improve your overall day. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the neurochemistry of mood and feeling good. So there are three, I'll call them the power chemicals in our system that are helpful in us maintaining happiness and feelings of well-being. The first one is serotonin. And serotonin is produced in your brain and in your gut. So it's a neurotransmitter. It is best forced or best produced by exercise. Even short bursts, like I mentioned before, 5, 6, 7 minutes can begin stimulation and production of serotonin in the brain. Now, also, this is kind of like a round effect, circular effect. So exercise bursts serotonin. Serotonin, and also being produced in the gut, responds really well to the lack of inflammation. So if you exercise, your inflammation goes down, and serotonin in the gut helps keep inflammation down. So it really plays off of exercise. So the more exercise you can get throughout your day in small little bursts, the better the serotonin is going to be in the presynaptic gaps of your brain. Now, the second one is called oxytocin. I like to call oxytocin the hug drug because it is mostly produced through intimacy. And that can be any kind of intimacy, but let's just talk hugs. So when you squeeze something and you hug somebody or something, your dog, your cat, a pillow even, oxytocin begins to be released, and especially when you're intimate with another human being. And that can last for hours or even days, depending. So the more physical contact and the more hugs you can get and give, the better the amount of oxytocin is going to be in your system. Now, the third one is dopamine, and dopamine is really responsible for happiness and euphoria. So I want to talk to you about 2 ways that you can increase the amount of dopamine production in your brain. The first is simply with gratitude. Studies have shown that when we reflect on gratitude, dopamine starts to be produced. So I want you all just to take a moment to reflect on something that you're grateful for. And I want you to kind of feel your body as you do it. Bill, not literally. Okay, Bill started rubbing his chest. I'm feeling my body. That's oxytocin. Okay, so when you reflect on gratitude, you get a little bit of dopamine sparking, and you can catch the feeling physiologically if you start to learn how to do a little biofeedback. And I don't know if any of you felt that. Now, you may reflect on something really great and big, like I'm grateful for family, health. I'm grateful, that we're in the yellow phase or the green phase, wherever you're at. It could be something big like that. It could be something small, and I'm going to use Stanley as my example because Stanley, you obviously work with bees, and this week I have been feeling so grateful for bees because I cleaned out my kitchen last weekend. If any of you followed me on Facebook, you saw me cleaning my cupboards, and I found this jar of just the darkest, richest honey from Zambia that I bought 2 years ago at the International Convention in Toronto. Buried it in my cupboard, never used it, and I've gone through half the jar in like 10 days probably. It's delicious. So I'm just grateful for the bees that made my honey. It can be something that small, but when we take time to reflect in a grateful way, dopamine is released. Now, you can improve that by even more by giving gratitude to someone else. When you give it away, it happens even harder. The dopamine is just even more being pushed into your presynaptic gap. So after this meeting, I want you all to commit to either texting, emailing, or calling someone and surprising them by telling them why you're grateful for them. And not only will that release dopamine inside of you, but you'll be forcing a little dopamine dump in someone else. Now, the second way to really get a pump of dopamine into your system is with doing this one physiological thing, and we're all going to do it together for 5 seconds. So come in, lean in towards me. Everybody lean in towards their cameras. That's it. All right, on my count of 3, we're going to smile for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, go. I love some of these smiles. All right, good. Those are really good smiles. Okay, so science tells us that when we smile, our brain has no idea whether that was a real smile, a faked smile, or a forced smile. And we just forced that smile. But you now have dopamine being produced in your brain more than you did 10 seconds ago. And the smile, like the yawn, you know how someone yawns and then all of a sudden makes you want to yawn? It's contagious. Smiling is also contagious. So once you're done with these masks that we're all wearing, challenge yourself to see when you smile at someone else, it's really almost impossible not to get a smile back. And then when they're smiling back at you, you know that you just infected someone with a dopamine dump. It's kind of fun. So smile more often, even if you have to force it. Now, with my patients who are depressed, I actually do smiling exercises in our office. We sit there and smile at each other. We giggle. We look at funny things. That starts to re-stimulate the process of dopamine being produced in the brain, and it can really help to elevate mood if someone's feeling depressed. So now, enemies of dopamine. There is one main enemy of dopamine, and that is anxiety. And the fastest way that you can become anxious is by getting into the future with worry, or what I would call what if thinking. Anxiety requires time and rumination in order to breed. So being in the future and saying things like, what if this comes back in 3 months? What if I go broke? What if I get sick? What if, what if, what if? Anxiety loves the what ifs. Now, anxiety also does pretty good in the past because there's plenty of time there to ruminate. And that's what we would call would've, could've, should've thinking. But anxiety has a really hard time in the right here, the mindfully present existence of here and now. Because every moment in the here and the now dissipates so fast, like this moment, gone. This moment, gone. No time for anxiety to produce itself if you're right here and now. So being present in your life is important to keeping anxiety at bay. But we all get worried, right? We all get anxious. So I'm going to give you 2 ways that you can shut it down. First, so here's how it works in the brain. In your limbic system, left and right hemisphere, you have these 2 little almond-shaped things called the amygdala. And they are responsible for starting the anxiety process. And so when you start to worry and ruminate on something, that lights up. The amygdalas light up. And they send a message to the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus sounds your alarm system, and you go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. And that's when you have all that autonomic nervous system response, like sweating, butterflies in your stomach, losing your words, all those things that we know as the physiology of anxiety. So here's 2 ways that you can completely shut down that system in your brain, the amygdala system. The first is with deep breathing exercises. And I'm actually going to show you a proper deep breath because we've all heard about it, but most of us do it a little too fast. So first and foremost, you have to inhale through your nostrils, through your nose, and you have to exhale through your mouth. And you hold your breath in between. And the inhale and the exhale should be incredibly slow. Okay? I'm going to show you just how slow. All right, so here I go. I'm going to demonstrate one. Okay, now I'm holding. And exhale. Then I check in with my body. There it is. I can feel when my body goes, and it relaxes into it. That's the amygdala system, any anxiety that I may have had just calming down. Now, I recommend to my patients that they do this 2 to 3 times in a row. After each breath, checking in with your body and saying to yourself, what is it about my body that feels a little more relaxed now? But please, if you're going to try this after the meeting, which I hope you do, please do it seated, because you can get a little lightheaded. Try it just twice at first and see how you feel. Check it out. Deep breathing shuts that system down. Now, even more interesting, there's a new therapy out called bilateral sound therapy. This is a technique I'm using with almost all of my patients. And let me explain what this works, and then I'm going to give you a link so that you can all try this later on today. So, bilateral sound therapy. So you're going to listen through earbuds or headsets, this very engineered type of music or nature sounds. And you'll notice that you hear the sound in your right ear and then your left ear, and then your right ear and then your left ear. And you close your eyes as you're listening, and you'll notice that your eyes begin to track the sound from left to right, left to right. And you won't have to make that happen. You won't have to force it. It just happens very naturally. And as the ears and the eyes are moving together, a very special brainwave begins to form that crosses actually over the tops of your left and right hemisphere. And it's that particular brainwave that shuts the amygdala system completely off. Just whoosh. It's as if the two cannot compete with each other. Now, my favorite resource for this, I'm going to share my screen with you now. His name is David Grand, and he's one of our forefathers of this technique, and he calls his bilateral sound, and then he, of course, copyrighted that, so no one else can call it that. And his product, I just think his product is one of the best. And this is whom I use with all of my patients. But if you Google bilateral sound, you'll find all kinds of wonderful artists out there. You can purchase this particular album anywhere. You just Google it. It's called Brain Spotting. But you can also get it for free on YouTube. And you can find it on iTunes and Spotify. So definitely check out David Grand, Bilateral Sound, and this Brain Spotting album. And just give it a try. Within about 3 to 6 minutes, you can shut down anger, irritability, frustration, anxiety. I love to use it for sleep. It's wonderful to help me get to sleep or stay asleep. Middle of the night, I often wake up and start thinking, turns all that off. I like to use it for meditation as well during my 10-minute breaks during the day. I usually at least one time a day will use this. It's lovely to meditate too. For depression even, it's great. So check out David Grand. All right, my last little tip of the day. It's regarding control. So yeah, most of this COVID-19 stuff and life in general, in fact, is kind of out of our control. But what we can control is our choice as to how we handle this situation. That is within my control. And I've decided that life is not on pause, and that I'm going to either use this time for the better, or I'm going to fail to use it. Those are my only two choices. So I'm using it for the better. Setting some short-term goals for yourself during shelter in place is very important, so that you come out of this feeling like you got something out of it, so that you came out a better, healthier person. I want to be a better neighbor. I want to be a better friend, a better Rotarian after this experience. I think there's some things we can do even to just challenge our mind and meeting some, internal goals within our home even, or within ourselves. I've been wanting to take an online master class for some time with David Sedaris. He's one of my favorite comic authors, to become a better writer and a better storyteller. I'm also reading a book I've been meaning to get to, by Elliot Mason. He's sort of the new Dan Brown. It's called the Arlington Orders. It's just amazing. So I've got these small little goals along the way each week that I want to accomplish that keeps my life moving forward. So, you know, I think there's going to be some really interesting and positive byproducts of this time, maybe even a renaissance of the human spirit. I think that we are going to consider connection and closeness so differently than we ever did before. The way we connect to each other and the way, you know, the human touch will be considered will be different. Some people are never going to want to touch anything again. Others, like me, I'm a hugger. I can't wait to get a hug. And if you even make eye contact at me, I'm probably going to hug you. So, you know, I think that we're going to value so many things differently. I was born in 1967. And so in my generation, that meant we ate dinner together every single night. We played board games, we played cards, all these things that we're seeing people doing again, because that went by the wayside in the last 20 years. Families decided that their time was better spent in other ways. They got too busy, in fact. Well, guess what? That's back. Families are eating dinner together. They're playing Scrabble. They're doing jigsaw puzzles. They're playing cards. They're doing crafts together. I mean, there's such a different connection now between families. So yeah, there's going to be some really positive byproducts from this time. So at the end of this, will we all be different? Absolutely. But hopefully we can also be different for the better. But that choice is yours. So those are my hot little tips for the day, and I would like to open it up for questions if anybody has any. You can just press your space bar and that will temporarily unmute you if you hold it down. Oh, look, Stanley's got honey. Is that the same honey that I have?
Yes, it is.
That's the one. Oh.
I saw it. I was there. I saw it. I said, I have to try it.
It's so good.
Not as good as mine, but it's good.
All right, Stanley, I expect the bottle will be shipped to me pretty soon here.
Harry, are you originally from the Johnstown area?
No, Chuck. I am originally from Los Angeles County, California. I'm a Southern California girl. Okay. I moved out to Western Pennsylvania in 1995-ish to do my doctoral internship. I had no intention of staying. Meant to go right back after a year, but you know, life happens when you're not looking. Next thing you know, I've been here 20 plus years.
Yeah, I was just curious because I've been doing genealogy work for almost 27 years, and I have a lot of family history in Western Pennsylvania on my mother's side. So, of course, Johnstown is historically known for the flood and the many families that were completely lost during that time. I was just curious.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions?
Now, she doesn't have the Johnstown brogue, so she's not from Johnstown, right?
No, I still sound like a California girl in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Come on, you must have other questions for Mary. She's come all this distance. Don't miss this opportunity.
Well, I have a compliment that was very informative, so I'm most appreciative of what you shared.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Diane, so much.
Mary, I'm really curious. You said that you think people will hug again. Have you gotten anybody talking about that? Because I mean, I'm a hugger too. I see people, I hug them, and everything you read, it says people are so uncomfortable now, and it's basically gonna take a vaccine for us to feel comfortable again. And
yes. You know,
hugging
that's so true, Mickey. I do think the majority of people are still very scared, and rightfully so. I was just talking with a friend of mine about, you know, will we ever return to normal? And we were both agreeing that we've never been normal after any major event. You look at 9/11, we never got back to normal. Things will just be different. There's really no such thing as normal. But I do think some people are going to be very comfortable. Again, it's personal. Being in space, I'm comfortable in somebody's space. But I do think until we have that vaccine, there is going to be this background fear. I also think that there's potential that this was addressed for her, so that we may have to go back into a short periods of quarantine, on and off until that vaccine is within our hot little hands. So, you know, I'm prepared for that and ready for it in my mind, in my, you know, soul. If that needs to be, that needs to be. That vaccine will change everything. Yes, I agree that that's going to be the pivotal moment where we can really kind of relax a little bit more. Thank you, Mickey.
Mary, do you think the Me Too movement is having a little effect on that closeness and the you know, thinking about hugging somebody and that being in the back of your head?
Yes, yes. Chuck, I saw that in the last, I would say 12 months. I go to a lot of district conferences, a lot of pets. I do a lot of training. And again, I'm a hugger. I don't mind you touching me. I've never minded that. You know, some of us who are like me, we say we're in the yes, please movement. Please hug me. Please, you know, come into my space. So yes, absolutely. The Me Too movement changed things before this ever happened. You know, but oh, look at Mickey's little future Rotarian. So yes, the Me Too movement is a huge part of this. I don't think COVID-19 will flip that backwards in any way, shape, or form, but that certainly has taken a back seat. You know, I think people are just more concerned now with, you know, connecting to people that we care about.
We have time for one more question for Mary.
I just wanted to share a book. It comes up backwards, unfortunately. I picked this up in Portland at a bookstore last year. It's an old book, 2008. David Sedaris is an acquired taste, but if you like him, you'll love this book and everything else he's written. So.
I fell in love with him by listening to him books on tape. My favorite book by him, because he reads it himself, is called Dress Your Family in Corduroy. And he just tells stories about his crazy, messed up family and about his life. And he is an acquired taste, he's different, but I just find him to be just crazy hilarious. I love him. The way he weaves his own stories is just remarkable. So, especially when you listen to him. So,
great. Thanks.
Well, thanks for having me, everybody. And thanks for doing the joint meeting. It was really cool. And yeah, you know, I'm sure I'll have another talk out there eventually on something more fun eventually. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And in the meantime, stay safe and stay sane, okay?
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary. Bye, everybody.
Mary, if you ever get to the Eastern Shore of Virginia or find out where it is, we would welcome you in person. Meanwhile, I will send you electronically our brochure.
Love it.
You can learn a bit more about the club. So stay well and keep doing all the good you're doing.
Okay, will do. See you guys soon, hopefully.
Thank you. Stephen,
Thank you.
we're not
Thank
going
you.
yet. Hang on. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Be well. And finally, Mickey, thank you for joining. We were afraid you weren't going to catch up with us, but we were delighted to have you in your club. In fact, we broke a record. We had 27 participants, thanks to Short Pump joining us today.
Awesome. Well, we had a bit of business. We have a COVID-19 grant going on, so we had a bit of business that we needed to take care of before we joined in. So we were really appreciative of you letting us and giving us the opportunity, because Mary was busy at this time and we found out why. So it's great to be able to be with other people and see what's going on the other side of Virginia.
The more the merrier.
That's right.
All right, Diane, cue it up.
There you are.
With respect to what we think, say, and do, 1, is it the truth?
The truth.
2, is it fair to
Is
all
it fair to
concerned?
all concerned?
3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And Stanley?
Will we have fun?
Yeah.
Thank you all. Be well.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Good seeing you all.